I don't like to prolong these just because we're already starting late and I know kids got to go to school, things like that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and kick things off. So welcome to your September, cannot believe I'm saying that, virtual nutrition seminar featuring me. And we're excited. We have Gerald and Teresa today.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have other commitments, but I'm grateful that you guys are able to pop on today. So thank you for making stuff available. For those of you who don't know, I think the majority of you know me, but for those of you who don't know who I am Angie. I am part of the MEA team at Hodges. I've been there since January. And I also obviously am the nutrition coach. So this is why I am doing this nutrition seminar. It's something I'm very passionate about. And I'm always available if you have any questions or you need help with anything, just feel free to either text the studio or catch me when you see me. Um, just a few things about me. Can you guys see my screen? I feel like it went blank.
It did go blank.
I literally didn't do anything. Okay, maybe it's just taking a minute. It's
Yeah.
just taking. Um, so a couple of things about me. Aside from doing what I do at Hodges, I'm also a licensed manicurist. So I work in a salon when I'm not in the studio. I've been doing that for over 20 years. And I've been here since 2009. And so I am grateful that I have a lot of the same or several of the same clients that I had when I first came here. So um, that's still something that I'm doing actively. Maybe in the near future, I will be able to transition away from that and just stick to fitness full time. But for now, I'm still doing both. Um, you may or may not have met my oldest daughter by now. Her name is Cameron. She's in here, and you can see her picture there. She graduated college not that long ago. I also have another daughter, Aiden. She's 15 in the 10th grade. Um, and in my spare time, I do competitive bodybuilding. It's another passion of mine. I am currently in an improvement season. I was going to compete, but we are putting things on hold right now just to focus on getting putting more muscle on. So that's where we are with that. All right. So moving on, what this seminar today, I'll tell you what we're talking about in a second, but I just want to flash back to what we talked about last seminar. We shared with you how to set you and your kids up for success this school year. I shared with you 5 simple ways or things you can do to ensure that everyone stays on track all school year long. And the previous Zoom meetings, they're all recorded. We just need to upload them to YouTube. So they will be available and we'll let you know when they are available, but they are recorded. We just need to upload them. So be patient with us as far as that goes, but it is happening. Okay. So let's get moving. Um, Today I would like to, sorry guys, it's moving a little bit slow today. Today I would like to talk to you about mastering the basics, right? So for some of you, maybe this is your first seminar or you've only seen a couple. But what I like to do or what I think is important to do is to just sometimes get back to, the foundational things. So for you guys today, we're going to be talking about, what are the most important things you should be focusing on in your fitness journey? Um, we're gonna start, and I'm not sure why this is taking so long, but we're gonna start with committing. So obviously, you all are at Hodges. You made the decision to take a step forward and like work on your health and wellness, right? So maybe you started with Hodges, maybe you didn't, but my suggestion is to commit, right? You make a decision, you decide that you need to take action, right? And then after you've done that, you want to set some goals and make sure you give yourself a realistic timeline. So for some people, I know when you come in, we ask you to commit to at least 3 months, but for a lot of people, it's going to take a lot longer than that. So the main thing to remember is to just, be realistic with your timeline, give yourself more time than you think that you'll need, because ultimately, it is a lifestyle change that you're making, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So, um, the other thing, and this is something that's super popular, um, and super easy to do at Hodges, is enlist a buddy or, somebody that can help hold you accountable. Sometimes simply just saying your goals out loud, to other people is helpful in having someone to hold you accountable to those things. If you just keep it to yourself, then there's nobody to really know that you're not on top of your stuff. So that would be that. And then the next thing is to create a vision board or have some type of visual reminder, that you can see every day. And this could be, a picture on your refrigerator of, like, you 3 or 4 years ago. It could be, some vacation that you want to take. It could be, just little positive reminders for yourself, whatever you're going to need along your journey that's going to remind you of your goals every single day. I would suggest for you to put it somewhere that you can see it and, look at it every day. Are you still not seeing this?
No,
Oh,
you
there.
might um it
Can you
might
see?
well, I see commit and plan. You might need
Okay.
to change the display setting you're on. That might be why it's lagging. To just like pick one of the other ones where maybe you're not in the frame.
All right. I got a lot of stuff going, so give me 1 second. All right. So I'm gonna leave it if it's okay right now, because yeah, I don't want to disturb it. If you can see it, I'm gonna leave it where it is. So, um, that was the first step, commit and plan. The next thing is your fitness routine. Obviously, we have done a great deal of the work for you. We have set up a schedule, so you don't have to do that yourself. But you want to definitely, figure out what kind of routine you want to establish. So, we have strength classes, we have the HIIT classes, we have yoga. So figure out what works with your schedule and make a plan to commit to those classes every week. And that's not to say that you can't switch it up, but sometimes just having that routine, it's helpful so that okay, Monday, I'm going to go to Monday, I'm going to Tuesday, and I'm going to go to Friday. And it's just super easy to kind of stick to that routine and hold yourself accountable. And some of the ways that you can do this, I know this is a very popular method too, is scheduling your workouts. So the same way that you put like work meetings on your calendar, you want to put your workout on your calendar as well. I have recurring meetings slash workouts on my calendar. And even though it's like, second nature for me now, it still is there. So I can see it all the time. And it's just about, keeping that, honoring that commitment to yourself and making it just as important as anything else that you would schedule. The second thing, and this is, probably the hardest thing, is show up, right? You schedule that time, you book yourself into class, so show up for yourself. Make it a non-negotiable. And then obviously when you're in the studio, you want to work hard. You want to push yourself. That's one of the main reasons why we do have the program for the same 4 weeks so that you can monitor your progress and know, okay, from week 1 to week 4, I actually did get better, or I lifted heavier with this particular movement. And so you want to also monitor that. You want to keep track of that. I don't know if you guys have like, iNotes or something in your phone, you're keeping track of that, or if you have a notebook, but I urge you to track those because it's really hard to know, you know, what did I do last week? Sometimes you may forget, I might have done 30, I might have done 35. And so it's just so much easier when you have documented where you were last week so you can kind of, bump yourself up to the next week. And then, just as important, again, as showing up is just being consistent. Obviously life happens, things happen, schedules change. But just, if you can't make a Tuesday, then pop in on a Wednesday, just try to be as consistent as you can with the schedule that you have set for yourself. Um, so yeah. And then next we have sleep and actually, I think we're missing one. Hang on. I'm just gonna go back. Yeah, we somehow skipped over nutrition. So I'm gonna back up. So nutrition, this is gonna come, um, this is the first thing I would say. This is the most important thing before you do anything else. So you want to determine what your nutritional needs are. Maybe you need to be gluten-free, maybe you have dairy sensitivities. But determine what your needs are, and then you want to prioritize those and obviously shop according to those needs, right? And then once you've done the shopping, it's super, I don't want to say easy, um, but it can set you up to be more successful throughout the week if you're able to meal plan and meal prep. For me personally, I cannot cook food every single day. I just do not have the schedule to do that. So I typically try to cook a majority of things on Sunday, so I feel prepared for the week. And then I may or may not have to cook something again on Wednesday or Thursday to get me through the rest of the week. But don't feel compelled to like cook everything for the whole entire week on one day. Like that's just not realistic. And then also to be consistent with that. So if you, and I know it's hard, like, everyone gets bored eating the same thing, but it is very it's so much easier to know like what's working when you're being consistent with certain things. Like if you're eating something different every single day, let's just say, you had an upset stomach, but if you're eating something different every single day, how do you know what it might have been? So this is one thing I would try to encourage you to start doing more frequently is to just, you know, eat more of the same things as long as your body, can tolerate them. Obviously, there's all things that we love to eat, but they may not work well with our system. So try to, stick to a few different things, but be consistent with that. And then, as time goes on, you can add um, and take away things as you see fit. But just keep as much consistency as you can. And I talk about nutrition, it's not just about food, it's also about hydration. Hydration is super important. It's going to help to balance, your insides essentially, your sodium, all of your electrolytes, just making sure that you keep everything nice and hydrated. It's going to help you be more fluid, make everything be more, you know, flexible and things like that. So you can move the way you need to move in the studio. All right. So we're going to skip ahead since we went through these other things. Fitness routines, sleep and recovery. Okay, so back to sleep and recovery. This is super important as well. Obviously, there's no point in coming to the gym eating the right things, working hard if you're not going to allow your body to recover properly. It's I've been talking about this recently with a couple different people, especially, my coworkers. We're up really early, the majority of us are. And it can be hard to, turn the phone off, put the phone down at night, don't scroll, but you really need to be intentional about that. Set some alarms, obviously, on your phone and just put it down. Another thing, I think Teresa was laughing at me the other day because when the studio early in the morning, I like to keep the lights off. And it's just, I don't know why, it's a lot more, I don't want to say cozy, but it just allows me to kind of like ease my way into the morning, right? Same thing at night. So you want to turn off the lights to get yourself ready for bed. And then obviously you want to aim for, and 6 to 8 hours, 8 hours might be a lot. It's a lot for me. So I typically aim for 6 to 7, but if you can get 8 hours, 8 hours is the ideal. And then I know this is maybe new territory for some of you. I know, you know what a massage is, but being more intentional and actually having body work done. And if you don't know what body work is, I'm happy to talk to you about this as well. But it's a little bit more intentional. So like working specifically on certain tissues and muscles and things like that, especially if you have like muscular imbalances, it can be really helpful for you when you're in the studio. Because how many times have you been doing a movement and you feel like, some kind of, you know, twinge or something like that. And a lot of times it comes down to like maybe you're not in the right stance or you have some kind of imbalance that's making you compensate one to one side or the other. I know I do. Um, so it's just something else that you can like, try to work on so that you can have more balance overall in your body. And then I share this a lot. I really enjoy doing hot and cold therapy. I know Gerald does it too. I'm not really sure about Teresa, but doing something like cryotherapy or even like cold plunging. And there's different schools of thought on this about, whether it's good for females, what have you. I would just tell you, do your own research, give it a try. There's no harm in trying something at all. And then of course, infrared sauna can be very good for, repairing the body's tissues and things like that, and also for um, boosting your immune system. So just keep all of those things in mind, and if you need some recommendations, I'm happy to share those as well. All right. Any questions about those things that I just went through? I know I kind of went through it fast, but it's really very basic. Like I said, this is about mastering the basics. So really just kind of taking it back to the foundation and just reminding you how important these basic things are.
I
Any
would
questions?
say one, can you talk a little bit about hydration?
Yeah, sure. So as a general rule, I typically suggest you try to get in a gallon. But if a gallon is hard for you, I would say, wherever you are, start like let's just say you're getting in 36 ounces on a day-to-day basis. I always tell people pick one or two habits that you can be consistent with throughout the week and then work your way up. So you start with 36 ounces, then maybe the next day you add another 6 to 8 ounces, and then you just gradually work your way up. And I do not suggest, and I always encourage people, just give yourself small goals, right? Obviously, you have these big goals over here, but give yourself small goals that are realistic and attainable and reachable every single day. Obviously, yeah, maybe you want to lose 50 pounds, but that's like down the line. So, what can I do today to be more successful? I can gradually increase my water every day. There's also, if you if you're not on top of your blood work and like things like that, this can be kind of just like a very generalized statement suggestion. But I know several people have expressed, they've had some medical issues and things that have been bothering them recently. And one member in particular found out that she had low magnesium. So it's just one of those things that if you're not versed in these things, you really might not know. But again, it's going to come down to like making sure that the body is balanced internally. And I know that, supplementation can help, but if you can get the majority of your nutrients, your macronutrients, your minerals, all those things in your food, do that first. And then, I mean, obviously multivitamin is good. But there's so many supplements out there. I would just try to focus on making sure you can get as much nutrition, much as many nutrients in your actual food as you can. And then, if you still feel like, wow, I'm really thirsty or I just feel off, then you can maybe look at adding some electrolytes, which we do have in the studio as well. The essential amino acids, they're also good for helping to repair your muscles after a workout. So again, any of the MEA staff can help you with those as well. I take them every day. It's just part of my routine. But again, just start small, give yourself one or two things to focus on. But I would say definitely aim to get yourself to a gallon if you're not there already. Anything else, Drew?
No, you said everything I wanted you to say.
Okay, perfect.
Hydration though is so key. Like I can't harp on that enough either. And especially when it comes to, and she'll talk more about eating and stuff, but if you're, sometimes you might think you're hungry, but your body's actually telling you that you're thirsty. And I find that being so common for myself. So that's a little hack for you before you start splurging on that food in the pantry. how about you drink a cup of water first and then you go for that snack in the pantry. That's my tip.
Yeah, absolutely. Also too, if you're craving salty versus sweet, those things can be indicators of something as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, so moving on. This, I'm really excited to share this with you guys, as I know that, we talk about you and your goals and like us helping you reach their goals, but I really wanted to share with you, some real life examples of people in the studio who have, committed to themselves and are actually reaching their goals. Um, are they, the biggest loser? I'm using that facetiously, but have they dropped 100 pounds? No, but they are making progress in comparison to when they first came in the studio. So without further ado, we're gonna share our first member. We have Rita. She is age 24, and this is not her actual name. Of course, I had to change the name because the person might not want you to know this is them. But anyway, her name is Rita. She's 24. She leads a very active lifestyle. And she not only works out at Hodges, but she actually did enlist my assistance with coaching. And we started kind of talking about it, shortly after I came to the studio, which was around January. And at that point, she was about 153 pounds. She was not really eating consistently. She was working out, but she was working out a lot and working out hard. So right around May, we had the first check-in. And at this point, again, she was working out hard. Nutrition was inconsistent. She was eating out a lot. And she weighed in her first scan after choosing to do the coaching, 157.9. So at this point, we figured out, okay, what is going to be your new workout routine? I assigned her some macros. And essentially, when I assign macros, I'm giving you protein, carbs, fats, and I'll give you some goals to shoot for as far as sodium, fiber, things like that. So we did that. And one of the first things that, we worked to do, because she may or may not have eaten breakfast, one of the first things she started doing was eating breakfast consistently. And with her inconsistencies that she had before, she was not complaining, but just expressing that she was not hungry. And so we started implementing breakfast, and almost immediately she was more hungry, right? So what does that mean? She starts eating more. So this means that she's actually fueling her body to support the work that she's doing. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I know it's counterintuitive. You think, oh, I need to lose weight, so I'm going to eat less, but I'm going to work out 6 days a week. The body doesn't function like that. The body needs energy to function and to give the output that you need to make change in the studio. So we got her calories to a good place. She's been eating consistently in a routine. And now I am happy to report, as of September, she is back down below where she started. It's not that much, but she's still below where she started at 153 pounds. She has more energy. She's feeling better about herself. She has a consistent workout routine. And I would even go so far as to say that breakfast is a non-negotiable for her now. So we went from not eating consistently to eating consistently, definitely making sure we get breakfast in the first meal of the day. And, a couple of the goals that she had set for herself were to make sure that her hormones were in better condition and that she was actually able to see some muscle definition. And I'm happy to report that she has both of those things, or she has accomplished both of those things. So let's give a round of applause for Rita. All right. Next. Member number two is Dennis. So Dennis is 39 years old. He has a somewhat sedentary job, but he is very active. He has a lot of responsibilities. He has a very important job. He works a lot outside. He works in the yard. He works in his house. He's a lot of things. He travels a lot, so he is always on the go. Um, he also is another coaching client. When he first started, he didn't start coaching in January, but he was working out at Hodges in January. And he was roughly around 255 pounds. Because of his job, he wasn't able to have access to a really well-rounded nutrition. He didn't really have access to like a great fitness routine. He didn't have the access to like equipment that he would have was very inconsistent as well. And it was, I would even say it was very poor. So his workouts were inconsistent as well as his nutrition. So fast forward to May, this was right around our first check-in. He weighed in at 255.1. Now, at this point, he still had a lot of travel, so we were kind of like very slowly easing him into a program and into a routine because he was coming off of the travel. He was getting ready to get back and try to like get back into a routine being home. So we very slowly and strategically worked toward, setting some goals, right? So the first thing, very easy, he had more control over his nutrition. So he took control of that. He knew the things that he should be eating. So he stocked up on those and he started preparing more meals at home. We just decided on what his workout routine would be. Pretty consistent. He works out Monday through Friday for sure in the studio. Weekends, he kind of just takes the opportunity to like go on bike rides or he might go on a hike. He does things outside of the studio on the weekends. So that was kind of the plan that we had set for him. So after a few months of being really intentional about that and like, checking in, we had weekly check-ins for about 12 weeks, I want to say. And so from the period of July 3rd to 31, he lost 2 pounds. It might not seem like a lot, but when you lose body fat but gain muscle in 8 weeks, that's significant. The most sustainable approach to gaining or losing is basically a half a pound to a pound a week. That's sustainable. So that is reflected in what you're seeing here, right? Um, yeah, would it be great to lose 10 pounds in a week, 2 weeks? Yes, maybe. But the majority of that time, the majority of the time, that's not going to be sustainable. It's most likely going to be water. And it's just not going to, you're not going to see that change. You're not going to see that consistent change like that from week to week. So if you can, focus and like smaller increments over time, it'll be much easier to keep that weight off. So this is a very great success story, in my opinion, um, from January to July, especially. And we recently just did another scan, and he's actually down now to 246 pounds. So this is, weekly coaching calls. This is him being consistent with his nutrition. And that's not to say that he hasn't, ventured outside because he has a lot of like family commitments. So, they're having dinners, they're going on vacation, they're doing things, right? So he's still having an opportunity to live and enjoy time with his loved ones, but also still reaching his goals. And I just want to express to you how it's not it's not that hard to do, right? Yes, there is some consistency. Obviously, he's very consistent through the week. And that's, easy to do for a lot of people. You have your set meal plan for the week, and then you give yourself a little bit more freedom and flexibility on the weekend. Super sustainable. And so to date, he's down 15 pounds of body fat, and we're still going. We still have goals to reach, but I am super proud of him. I'm super happy, and I can't wait to see what he does next. He's definitely in a good rhythm and a routine now. So he's graduated to now bi-weekly check-ins from the weekly check-ins. So he doesn't need to talk to me once a week anymore. We can just check in with each other every 2 weeks, and he's good to go. So congratulations to member number 2. Super proud of him. All right, last one. Now, this last member, this is a special one because this person came to Hodges really, really needing. I mean, everyone comes needing Hodges, but this person really, really needed Hodges. They were having some, metabolic issues, some hormonal issues. So it's super imperative that she get into a different routine and start taking care of herself. So she's relatively young too. Barbara, she's 39 years old, moderately active, but not as active, obviously. She didn't have a fitness routine when she came. So March 2024 is when she first started. She was 238.5 pounds. Um, she hit the ground running, and she was able to drop a little bit of weight in a couple of months. And I think, you know, I mean, she's not a coaching client, just FYI. So she's really managing her own nutrition. So I would guess that, that is the reason why she wasn't able to see, a lot of significant change. And I'll tell you why in a second. Um, so that was May. Now, obviously she's in a, more of a routine by June. She's coming more frequently. She's being very consistent with her workouts, and she was able to drop about 6 pounds. So this is amazing, right? She's doing great. She's feeling great about herself. Now, what we've just determined, and this happens with a lot of people, is you see the weight coming off, right? So you think, oh, I've lost 5 or 6 pounds. I'm good. I can go have that burger, or I can go have this or have that. And those little things, when you reward yourself like that, it builds up over time. So she actually put back on more weight in the process of that. But I'm happy to report that she has recommitted to herself, once we had that discussion, and she's on her way back down. But the main thing is she's still down from where she was when she first started. So I consider that a win. She came in, hit the ground running. She had a little bit of a hurdle, obstacle to get over, and she got over it. And now she's recommitted. She's working her way back down. So, I'm super proud of her for, sticking with it. Because again, you come in with the thought, anybody can do anything for 90 days. But the fact that she's been there this long, she's obviously committed. And she knows that it's not going to happen overnight. So kudos to her for, just going with the ebbs and flows of life, but also staying committed to her goals. And so the things, congratulations to member number 3 for sure. And so the main things I want you guys to take away from, those first slides, as well as these, are that, everyone's day one looks different. And I tell anytime a guest comes in, we do the body scan, and that scares a lot of people. But you have to, in order to know where you can go or where you're going, you have to know where you start, right? So my day one is going to look different from somebody else's day one. And there's not one is not better than the other. It just is what it is. Um, as you saw with all these members and with your own situations, circumstances will vary, just like results will vary. So the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to somebody else. Well, Susie, she lost 20 pounds in 3 months. Why I should be able to too. It doesn't work like that. Everyone's circumstances, your body, your metabolism, all these things, your life, your job, all these things are all different. So you could be doing the same exact thing she's doing. It's not going to look the same for you. Um, life is going to happen. It's how you respond to that that's going to determine what happens to you next, right? And as you can see, progress is not linear. That's just not the way it works. If you do, you set all these goals for yourself, you have, guidelines and things that you put in place for yourself. You may have a slip up. You may go on vacation and go a little bit crazier than you wanted to. That's okay. Just come back home, get right back into your routine, and it's going to be okay. You're not going to undo all of your hard work in a weekend. Um, that's just not the way it works. The body is way more intelligent than that. And 9 times out of 10, if you go away for the weekend and you eat a bunch of food and you come back and you've gained weight, majority of the time it's going to be water weight from excess sodium, fat, things like that, but it will eventually level itself back out. And the last two most important things, you guys are all members of Hodges, so you know that you are making, it's literally an investment. You made this investment to yourself, and you are worth it. You're worth every single penny. You just have to keep choosing yourself every single day, and don't let, don't let things discourage you from keeping the commitments that you make for yourself. Okay. Um, I'll always believe in you. We know that you got it. We're here to support you. Your teammates, your other members are here to support you. So, feel free. Like I said, you can share with me, you can share with Gerald, Teresa, any of the MEA staff. We're all here to help you. We want to see you be great, and we know that you can be great. So, um, with that, I'm gonna end. If anybody has any questions, we can open up the floor for questions right now for a few minutes.
I had a
Gerald?
question.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Tanya.
It's fine.
So when you were saying like that they're a coaching person, like what does that mean? Is that someone that you're like set up completely separate to
Um,
help them guide with nutrition, or is that like part of
yes.
it, or how does that work?
Yes. So, we're still kind of like figuring it out, but the way we started out was doing, basically I'll do like an initial consultation with you and we'll figure out, what are your goals? What
Mm-hmm.
are the things that you need help with? What do you need some extra accountability for? And then we'll kind of establish what the path to get you there. And basically it's going to be determinant on you, like how much accountability you need. Do you need somebody to check in with you every week? Do you need to have, a scheduled phone call every single week where you're talking about, what went well this week? What can we work on? Things like that. Or do you need, maybe just a little bit of accountability here and there. You know the right things to do, but you just need somebody to check in with you periodically. We can do that as well. And I can send you a link if you want to schedule a nutrition consult. That's super easy to do. Anybody can do it. Actually, you can just text the studio number and let them know that you want the link to schedule a nutrition consult. And we can definitely do that for you. But the nutrition seminars, that's just something that we do. It will give you as part of your membership. It's just the actual individual coaching that is separate from that.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Of course. Oh, Gabby says, I needed to hear this tonight. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. You've been doing a great job, Gab. Anybody else? Gerald, Teresa, do you guys have anything?
Let's have some. What questions do you guys have? It doesn't have to be related to anything that Angie talked about. Like if there's any confusion that you have, misconceptions, or if you need advice on how you might need to navigate certain things in your own situation, we're all ears right now. Like utilize us while we're here. I know everyone's different, so feel free to just turn off your mic or come off mute and share. And no question is a dumb question. Because if you're thinking it, someone else is definitely thinking it.
Yeah.
Okay, can I go again?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one, sorry, I think I muted myself. One of the things I think that I personally struggle with, I think the fitness part is easy for me. The nutrition part and staying like on task is challenging. Um, but with the combination of both, obviously you can have results. But I think I struggle with like, should I be going to um each class, like if I have 3 days a week that I can go, should I be going to just like total body cardio or cardio and core or whatever? Should I just be going to only the lifting classes? Like I kind of don't know how much cardio I should do versus how much lifting I should do. And I guess it depends on goals, but do you
Yeah.
guys generically have a common thing that you tell people typically?
Gerald or Tracy, you want to take this one?
I mean, I could speak on it, but I feel like if you want, were you taking the route with just the basic matter that it's all about caloric surplus and what workouts you're doing, it regardless, you're burning calories? Is that what you're going to say, Angie?
Well, I was just, again, like she said, it definitely is about your goals. So I don't know what your goals were, Tanya, but I will say in general, if you are looking to, let's just say you're looking to lose fat, right? Or lose weight, not lose fat, lose weight, then it's really just going to be about being in a caloric deficit, which just means you're burning more than you're taking in. So that's super easy. Anybody can do that. If you want to gain muscle, it's going to require you eating in a caloric surplus, which means you're eating more than you're burning. Um, there's also something called body recomp, which means you want to drop fat at the same time you want to build muscle. This is pretty much what I consider like a sweet spot for a lot of people. And so if that's the case, the majority of your fat burning, let me not say the majority, you will get more fat burning benefits for longer with resistance training. You'll be burning fat if you're doing cardio, you're burning during that. Like let's just say you're doing the treadmill or something like that. While you're on the treadmill, you can be burning fat. But the benefits of that don't last as long as if you did resistance training. There's also, information out there that you can actually burn longer with HIIT workouts. So our workouts are, and especially the Metcon workouts, they are great for burning fat as well. So um, again, depending on what your priority is, I always tell people when they come in and they're doing that scan, because it's fat loss, it's gain muscle, and then better health, right? I always tell people to choose whatever is the priority to you today, right now. So, I hope that helps you. I don't know. I didn't do your intakes. I don't know what your goals are, and we can definitely talk more offline. But as a general rule, I would say prioritize strength training. Obviously, cardio conditioning, that's great for cardiovascular health as well. So you can definitely mix it in, but I personally am a fan of more resistance training.
Tanya, I would say if you had to choose, I would maybe pick one lower body, one upper body strength, and then one conditioning workout. Just because you want to keep that functional training in your routine. But also the nice thing about HIIT training that Angie was talking about is HIIT training has what's called the epoch effect, where essentially when you're training for a certain period of time and your heart rate is at that level, there's this afterburn effect called the epoch effect, where your metabolic rate speeds up. So you're burning more calories than you would have otherwise for upwards of 48 hours after your workout. So what's nice about HIIT is you're not only burning calories in the workout, but since that afterburn effect is happening in your body, you're burning more calories after the workout for up to 2 days, depending on how intense the workout was. So I feel like having that stimulus along with the strength training stimulus is going to be great. And you also have to factor in too that the more muscle you have on the body, the more calories you burn through during the day. So that's also something to keep in mind too. You want to have the muscle on your body because that's how you will over time lean out and be in that what's like a recomp where you're able to eat enough to sustain and build muscle, but you're also simultaneously losing fat because you are having that much muscle on your body.
Yeah.
Thank you. That makes sense. I think I'm definitely looking at the recomp, but I'll talk to you guys offline, but that's really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome.
What other questions do you guys have? Questions?
Who's going on the hike on Sunday?
I'm going on the hike.
Me too.
Rita's going on the hike. How about
How long is the hike?
It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's not that long. And it'll
I don't
be
know. I don't know if I could do it after the full body conditioning class.
oh, you'll be fine, girl. And it's total body strength.
You
I'm
can
gonna
do
need
it,
like a
girl.
little stroller to stroll myself through.
What other questions do you guys have about nutrition? Maybe like how much protein you need to take, when you should eat before or after your workout. Any questions around that?
Oh, let me say something about that. So when you come in, your scan is going to give you macro recommendations, right? If you choose, anytime you choose gain muscle, it's going to give you super high calories. And the majority of people struggle with getting in, one, enough calories, but two, enough protein. So I would say as a general rule, prioritize your protein aim for 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound, either of your current weight or of your desired weight. So if you're 175 pounds and you want to be 150, aim for 150 grams of protein. Just as a general guideline, and track your nutrition so you can see where you are and know where your baseline is, because there's no point in trying to figure out, how much to eat if you don't know what you're currently doing. You don't really know, okay, am I in a caloric surplus or am I in a deficit? You kind of have to know like where you are to figure out how to, adjust up or down. Okay, bye, Tanya. Is that it?
Jennifer, you don't have no questions about running, fueling?
You know me too well.
Yeah.
Yes, I would definitely like to hear your thoughts on what it means to fuel up before a run, what that looks like after a run, especially even with hit days that are coming like on Tuesday and Thursday. What does that look like to fuel up for those kinds of days?
Well, for me, for running, I don't like to run with much in my stomach, but what I buy is a liquid version, like a liquid carb and electrolyte combination, like a sodium dense drink. And it's like a powder. I use the one called G1M Sport from BPN, but you can buy it there's every nutrition brand has their own line of it. But this is nice because you just drink it and it gives you a quick source of carbs. And since you're sweating during your runs or your hit workouts, it's also giving you the electrolytes and sodium that you need to replenish yourself since you're sweating a lot. But for hit, similarly, I would keep it light too, because since your heart rate is, I mean, essentially you're hitting like your lactic threshold where you kind of feel like that urge where you might want to throw up. When your heart rate is super high, in those moments, you don't want to have a ton of food in your belly because that's also how you throw up. So being mindful of that, I would consider maybe eating something light. I typically go for like a go-go squeeze or maybe like a banana. Um, and that's if you're coming in the mornings, like out of bed. But if you're coming in the afternoon, you should have eaten already because your body's definitely going to feel it if you're not eating before your workouts. Just make sure you
Yeah.
have in between from when you eat and when you work out. I would make it definitely like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I was just gonna stress that. That's gonna be different for everyone. Like I think my ideal timing is an hour to an hour and a half, to be honest. Um, because the bottom line is your body has to function, right? If you put food on your system and you try to go work out, the body is gonna say, okay, do I spend the energy to digest this food or do I spend the energy to work out? And the workout's gonna win, which means you got to get rid of the food, which is why you get sick. So, you want to give yourself enough time to digest the food so you can actually use it in the workout and not lose it.
Cynthia is asking, for hydration, is it better to have electrolytes with what you drink or just to stick to water?
I would just I would do just electrolyte powder mixed with your water because you're getting both essentially when you drink it, right? So just put them like I carry two. I'll have like my G1M Sport in one, and then I'll have water in the other one. That's because I'm like very extra. But if you're coming to the gym, I'll just put your electrolytes or sodium powder in here with your water and just drink that throughout your workout. And then obviously before and after, make sure you're drinking water too.
And if you can't invest in that right now, you can always just take like sea salt or pink Himalayan salt and just put like a half a teaspoon in your water as well.
Does that help?
You're welcome.
Karen, no questions? Gabby? Camila.
You said half a teaspoon in 1 liter of water, or how much water?
Um, what's your bottle size?
Like a 67-ounce bottle of water. It's so
Then
I can keep myself accountable of drinking water. That's why I got a bigger one.
yeah, you could probably do a half a teaspoon. It's probably okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Melissa, any questions?
Hey, Lisa's been crushing it. You've been doing your thing, girl.
Thank you. No questions.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
How do you know if a protein bar is good for you based off the amount of protein or the amount of carbs? Or like if the carbs are too high, do you know if that's good for you? I don't know. I get so confused and lost with protein.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe, go ahead.
Well, it really just depends on what your intention is with the protein bar, right? Like if you really are just your intention is to get protein in, you'll grab a protein bar that has lower carbs, higher protein. But if you find one that's high protein, high carbs, it's typically a meal, like a meal bar. So it's going to give you that satiated feeling that you would get from eating a meal because of those carbs and protein. And typically when it's higher carb, higher protein, you also see it's higher calorie. So that's something to be mindful of. But if you want like a go-to protein bar, I mean, Teresa will probably talk about like the ingredients is going to be something to look for too, because you can find very super processed ones. But for me personally, I don't really mind it as much, but I understand it's different for everyone, especially when it comes to gut health. But personally, for me, my go-to protein bar is barbell bars. I mean, you can choose whichever one you want, but that's one that is high protein, lower carb, and that one I eat every single day just to bridge my gap of how much protein I'm eating in a day.
Also, don't
Got
be
it.
afraid. Yeah, I was gonna say also don't be afraid to like make your own. They're not that hard to do.
Yeah, that's so true.
Protein balls, protein bites, protein bars. There's a lot of resources out there and like super easy recipes to do.
So focus more on like your macro intake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but don't let that complicate it. Like Angie's,
Yeah.
the biggest thing is if you have the ability to like bake or something, make your own because then you know exactly what ingredients you're putting in. Because you will find that some have maybe higher sugar, and that's something maybe that you're trying to cut out. So it wouldn't make sense for you to eat that because that's not consistent with what else you're eating. So I would advise, if you can, find some recipes online, or you can definitely find them on Instagram or TikTok if you just search up like protein desserts
Yeah.
or protein snacks. They'll show you exactly how to do those, and they're honestly pretty good in my opinion.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Any other
Alright,
questions?
we're at an hour. I think we should.
Some people either are staying on and waiting for someone else to ask a question, or they put that phone down and they've been they've been
If you
bumping.
guys could share a recipe of a protein bar, that would be great.
Yeah, I actually just saved one. It's actually protein bites. I don't know if you like pumpkin, but I saved one the other day, but I can share some with you. Actually, you know what we'll do? Because Gerald and I have been talking about this. We're gonna create some resources. So we'll definitely put that on the list.
Yeah, it may be like on like the resources, like have like a tab or wherever you guys are gonna create it of like
Yeah.
healthy breakfasts for people who go like at 5 a.m. like
Yeah.
quick and easy.